Hey, good morning everybody. I made it to Boulder City and I'm about to head out to the National Recreation Area for Lake Mead. I got in kind of late afternoon, the hottest part of the day, and the temperatures are still very hot. It's 102 degrees. I think it's about to be that today at some point, although it's still fairly early morning. Very nice campground, lots of facilities, more than what I'll ever use. So I'll give you a real quick look around. This portion of Lake Mead is where I'm standing. Is just a tiny bit of the entire area of the lake. It's massive. It's just really big. Unfortunately, you can't get very close to it. I'm kind of restricted to the roadways. Most of the trails are closed. It's 102 in the shade, so walking along some of the trails wouldn't be a whole lot of fun. Off in the distance you can see that there are some folks that are paddle boarding and maybe even fishing. Can't see that well at this distance. And on a day like today, boy, I'll tell you, recreating in that water would be a whole lot of fun. Clearly, I was told that the dam was closed. It's marked everywhere on the way here. Unfortunately, I figured, you could get to the dam and could take a picture or something, or even drive over the breast. Got down to a checkpoint where they just turned you around, and oftentimes they were checking cars and whatnot. So I guess I'm lucky I wasn't stopped and had the car checked. Anyway, they just turned me around. I came to an overlook again. This is probably the last one we'll see. I wanted to stop here at one of these overlooks to give you a shot of what I think is a pretty neat deal. As I said, they've got many hiking trails which were closed due to the pandemic. In any event, the hiking trails are pretty well developed, and in this particular case there's a trail that goes, they have like a walking tunnel right through the mountainside. So on a hot day like this, it would be nice and cool in there, I'm sure. Morning. It's time for me to pack it up and to move on from Boulder City to Zion. It's not going to be a very big trip, long trip. It's only about 2.5, 3 hours, probably 3.5 with the trailer. What I need to do is unattach or unhook the water and the electric line, and then I'll back the truck into the to hitch her up. So it's a lot cooler this morning. There's a small breeze. I hope there's not too much wind problem. Yesterday I was so glad I wasn't on the road because we had very high winds, and pulling something with this kind of a profile could have been a problem. But in any event, today it's a balmy 77. So it's going to be a lot easier to get the work done that I need to get done. So come along. Out of Nevada, we go through a little bit of the corner of Arizona and into Utah. So take care. Come along for the ride. Good morning, everyone. I'm at Leeds Zion West Trailer Park for the next couple of days. Got in got in late yesterday afternoon. Got set up and and actually sat down and chilled out a little bit rather than recording anything. But we're here. Jake and I are fine. This morning we're going to head on out into the park. I don't know how much is going to be open. Again, kind of like Hoover Dam and Lake Mead. A lot of it was closed. I understand from what I've read online that they're letting limited amount of people in. When the parking lot's full, they close down until somebody leaves. So I may have to wait to even get in, since I'm getting kind of a late start this morning. And I've got to put DEF in my truck before I do anything, because we're 25% below what we need to be. So fortunately I have it, and I'm going to be able to put it right in the truck and get moving. So come along this morning, and hopefully we'll get to see some of Zion. We're about 10 miles outside of the park itself, But I pulled over into what once was a shuttle system. The shuttle's not working because of the virus. Just to give you kind of a panorama view of what we're looking at here as far as landscape is concerned. It's really, really nice. And it only gets prettier as we enter closer and closer to the park. The park is loaded with visitors today, and oftentimes you can't really pull over because it's just full. But this one's empty. I'm getting sort of to the top of the canyon, one of the canyons, and I thought, well, I'll pull over and just give you a little bit of a view of what's going on here. Again, words just don't describe it. It's what can I say? If you're ever able to come this way, it's worth doing. Well, I'm sitting just outside of, I think, a double tunnel is what they said. After I go through that, I'll be headed toward the east exit or entrance, I guess. The scenic route, which is a little longer route, takes you to the Temple of Sunawa, or whatever it's called, something like that. It's closed. It's apparently a fairly narrow road, you're restricted to 20, no vehicles longer than 23 feet can travel it. Which I'm just in a truck today, so we would have been okay. Again, I don't know what the virus has to do with closing a roadway, but in any event it is, and you can't argue with it. So I'm about to get moving here, so I better stop the video and pay attention to the tunnel ahead. Sounds exciting. Well, I'm at the top of the canyon now and headed down the mountain. We've gone through Mount Carmel Tunnel, which was 1 1/10 miles long. It was interesting, a very narrow tunnel. They only let you through one way at a time, one direction at a time. And periodically on the left-hand side, since I was going up the mountain, there would be like windows where the tunnel of the rock maybe got so narrow that they just carve it out. So you got little windows to the canyon beside you. It really was too bad you can't stop because there were some beautiful views there. It's interesting to me that at the top of the canyon, as we start to head back down, we see some beautiful ponderosa pine and cypress growing, and I guess it's because they've got more sunlight up here. But I'll turn the camera around and let you take a look at it. This is Checkerboard Mesa behind me, and I'm going to swing around and eventually get the dog out and let him take a little walk around. I arrived Saturday late afternoon, and then my plan was to do the park, as much of the park as was open and I could do on Sunday, which worked out just fine. And they have me all scheduled, and the truck is in there now being taken care of. So if still keeping my fingers crossed, everything should be great. Praise the Lord. It was also under warranty. Those of you who own diesel trucks, the good news is they tow like a champ and they're indestructible, but boy, when something goes wrong, they're 2 times, sometimes 3 times as expensive to fix. So fortunately, this repair was under warranty. So I've got about 58,000 miles on the truck. Anyway, I don't want to drone on and on. The good news is I'm on my way to more like central toward northern Utah tomorrow, and then the following day I should be off into Wyoming. And I'm really looking forward to a little cooler temperatures and to scout the surroundings of the Great Plains. And so that ought to be exciting. So thanks for sticking with me. And again, this is a little side trip to the Nissan dealer, and as I said, I just could not be happier.